BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during the games. You think you know your stuff? Well, get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread every week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200K. $200,000. It's ridiculous. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in a game of blackjack or poker or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in the action. Bet online. The game starts here.
Let me, so this.
Bro, you interrupt every day on everything we do.
That's awesome. That's me going off on disco.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, Conan, but we have a bunch of chats here and questions that are starting to pile up. So,
all right.
Joe will ask them because Conan can understand my
accent. Do you think a AEW pay-per-view at Yankee Stadium and a go-home at Hammerstein would help the trajectory of the company's direction? Last time a wrestling show happened, there was in the 1950s with Gorgeous George.
I don't remember a Yankee Stadium show with Gorgeous George. I know that they used to run Yankee Stadium shows, like when they did with the boxing. So that's going way.
They used to do Shea Stadium, right?
Shea Stadium. Yeah. There were a couple shows in Shea Stadium. I don't think AEW should be running stadium shows until you're packing arenas. Because running a stadium, it's not like infallible. It's like people think like, oh, let's go book a stadium and they will come. It's like it doesn't work that way. I'll give you an example. Is one of the big shows that WWE, and WWE is a strong promotion, really strong promotion, much stronger than AEW. They were going to run one of the shows. It might have been a Money in the Bank, but it was going to be in Vegas. Okay, and they went to the stadium, and they didn't sell that many tickets. So they had to, basically move it indoors, or else they would go in there with like 20,000 people in the stadium, and they didn't want that look. So it's like, if you're selling out arenas, the idea of going to a giant show for a stadium, sure. But I wouldn't even be I wouldn't, if I'm an AEW, like, honestly, I wouldn't even be thinking stadiums, maybe one show a year, but not Yankees.
Well, haven't we seen, Dave, and correct me if you're wrong, you're more into this than I am, but like, good example, if you compare in a lot of shows they've been to in the last 3 years, how each year the crowd has gone down, including Arthur Ashe.
Yeah, that was Grand Slam.
Grand Slam's gone down pretty much every year they opened it. That's one of the things historically with especially with what I would call a number. I don't know what term you would use it, like a number 2 brand, I guess is probably the best way. But I remember when they're just using them in the 80s. Okay, like WWF, New York, Philadelphia, whatever. That was, that was the WWF territory, but it was also the largest population base. So everybody, once the territorial thing ended, Vern wanted to go in, Crockett wanted to go in, probably Watts wanted to, but he never did. You want to go into New York because it's got more people. And what I've noticed with all of them is the first time you come in, you're a novelty. Eddie Einhorn did this in the 70s. First time you come in, you're a novelty and you do really well. Each time gets smaller and smaller. I think it's just the nature of, and it would not be that case for WWF in the sense of, I think that when you are the premier brand, you're the major league, people will watch. If you're the other one, people will sample you. And it's not even like, oh, you didn't put on a good show. Because I remember like the first time Crockett went to the Meadowlands, right? So this was the first opposition show in New York ever. It's in 84. And he goes with Flair and Steamboat. And they had like the best match that anyone in New York had ever seen. People were just raving to me, oh my God, we've never seen anything like it. Because the WWF, nobody wrestled like Flair and Steamboat in 1984. Nobody was even close. And then the next time they come in, the crowd's way down. And it's kind of like, why would the crowd be down? You just gave them the best match. And that's kind of what, and it's the same thing, I think, with AEW in a lot of these markets. And some, some of it's the cooling off of popularity, but some of it's just natural, whatever it is, natural history. What
can I give you
the secondary group? You'll sample it, but you won't keep coming back because you want to see the major league. For whatever reason.
Right. So let me give you my opinion on that. It's like anything else. When you're hot, you're hot. right? And they're the hot product. And like, for example, if we look back and we think about matches like or a boxing match, for example, because I know you follow that, when finally Pacquiao and Mayweather hooked up, right?
Mhm.
Broke all sorts of records. The fight was terrible, right?
Terrible.
But but when you're
No
hot, you're
disclaimer.
hot. Yeah. And I think that at the beginning, Dave, there was a honeymoon period with Tony because WWE to me made their own competition when they weren't giving the fans what they liked, and and all those fans went to AEW. Okay. And at first it was very exciting because all the people they were signing and it was a new company. And you can't, you know, Tony's still learning to be a booker. Just because you're a fan and you watch a lot of matches doesn't make you a good booker. And these people have been doing this for 40 years. They're a promotional juggernaut. Everybody knows who they are. They're everywhere. You know, they're always on ESPN. You don't see AEW there. Now they got to deal with Netflix, which will be huge, or on Fox, you know, and AEW is trying to get there, but their product has definitely cooled off. And I think at the end is if you're a hot product, and not only that, bro, they just have better storylines right now. You know, they're just a hotter product.
Well,
Dave-
I mean, I agree. I mean, they really, I would say, 2002 really turned it around for WWE. I think Cody Rhodes jumping was a huge part of it, and the Bloodline storyline. You know, it's like Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn and those guys. I mean, they clicked, and that
Right.
that you know, like one of the things I think before 2002. So it was like 2020. You know, we also were in a pandemic, but there was a period where AEW was new, hot, and better, and then what happened was WWE. You know, things happened. It's similar to
Well,
WC.
do you think a lot of it was maybe Triple H taking over creative from Vince?
I just remember that the day that happened, the first time it happened, you know, when Vince got into trouble with the Wall Street Journal, the day it happened, and Triple H took over and Vince was out of creative, I said, like, this is going to change because Vince was a detriment to that company in his later years. I never wanted, you know, like I could write a book on Vince easy, but there's the good and the bad, and you can watch the documentary and you'll see it all for yourself. But the thing is, he was changing his mind too often. They were not having consistent storylines because they would write a consistent 10-week story, and then in week 2, Vince would tear it up. So it's like you can't really build momentum that way.
Oh, bro, how many times, and I know if I heard it, you heard it. How many times, you don't know how many times my friends would call me and go, bro, we came in here on the day of of TV tapings, and 2 hours before my match, they scrapped everything and did something different. It's impossible to work like that.
But and you know, like in that era, like, and also the other thing with Vince was his aura and his that he snaps and things like that. He was very difficult to work with, you know,
Right.
and especially if you worked with him in the office. I mean, he would just like wake up one day and like just be in a mood, like, you know, you like again, how many executives used to just get fired out of nowhere? Like you wouldn't even like, whoa. They've been in the company for 20 years. And while it still happens, it's layoffs now, it's a different thing. But Vince would just get, like somebody once told me, like, you know, like if you work for Vince and you're with him all the time, he just gets tired of you. Okay. But with the wrestlers, it's just like he just, and because nobody questioned him.
And everybody's walking on eggshells. That's no way to work.
Everyone's walking and saying, yeah, it was a miserable place for
at least with Tony, because I experienced it and everybody says the same thing. He's easy to work for because he'll hug you after the match and, you know, mark out and all that. And that's good sometimes for a wrestler instead of somebody that ignores you.
Yeah.
Dave,
Well, it's better for your morale, but there's, you know, I mean, there's the good and bad because, and I don't know, you know, again, it's funny because people who worked for, you know, like different guys who were successful, you know, including Vince, would always tell me that, you know, like, I think to be a boss, you have to be, I don't know if that's true. And you would probably have better experience working with so many different people and being a boss. I don't know if it's true that's better to be. I think that there's like a kind of like a common thing. And maybe even Levesque is kind of there with that, you know, where you know, you can't let them walk all over you, of course. Right. Because you get
it's a fine thread. It's a fine thread.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about this yesterday on the podcast. Me personally try to help everybody because I have learned when you have power, it's not to abuse it or to show off or to get back at people. It's to inform and guide and illuminate and help, you know. But at the same time, as you know, there's so many backstabbing, conniving people in this business that are always trying to you, that sometimes you need to check them and go, I'm not the one, dude. I've been in this business a long time, and everything you're trying to do right here, I've seen it or I've done it. So cool it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you just said it's kind of on an individual basis, you know?
Yeah. Every
'Cause-
situation. But
yeah.
it's like you don't want to be an outright make people
Right. Not want to work for you or put in the extra, because that's one of the things that I've been able to get out of wrestlers, since they know if I have good relationship with them, they'll go the extra mile for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that is a big difference, where other guys, you're just kind of doing it because you have to, and you really don't want to be there because you're getting a paycheck, and Vince might get mad, and you don't want to cause waves. You want it to be a cool atmosphere.
What's up? I just want to thank you guys for watching this clip. Don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And join our YouTube membership for hours and hours of exclusive, unedited, uncensored content. And being a member will help you get involved in our upcoming live streams. Thank you for your support. Thank you for riding with us. I know you got a lot of other podcast choices, be it wrestling or other ones. And thank you for picking us. Boom.